Long ago, on the edge of a dense forest known as Blackwood Forest, there stood a small town called Raven Hollow, a quiet place that time seemed to have forgotten. And in the very centre of that town stood an old house, a very old house, one that had been there for centuries. It was massive, built from thick stone walls that rose almost as high as a man. The windows were small and clouded with age, tangled with cobwebs, and the heavy wooden shutters groaned and creaked whenever the wind pushed through the narrow streets of the town. The people of Raven Hollow had lived there for generations, and they told many stories about the house. But they never spoke about it loudly. They spoke in whispers, as if the house itself might be listening. Some believed that spirits lived inside it, ancient spirits trapped within its walls for hundreds of years. Others said the house was cursed, and that anyone who dared to step inside would never return. Still, the house remained exactly where it had always been, silent, looming over the town, casting a long shadow with its eerie presence. One evening, a young couple named Ethan and Claire stumbled upon the house while walking through the forest. A storm had begun to roll in. The rain was growing heavier, the wind colder, and they were desperate to find shelter. When they saw the old mansion with its front door slightly open, it seemed like the perfect place to wait out the storm. To their surprise, despite its age, the house looked remarkably well preserved. Inside, the rooms were strangely clean, almost untouched by dust. The furniture was antique but sturdy, as if someone still cared for the place, or as if time itself had simply forgotten it. But the longer Ethan and Claire explored the house, the more uneasy they began to feel. The silence inside was overwhelming. Outside, the storm howled against the walls. Rain hammered the windows. But within the house, there was almost no sound at all, except for the echo of their own footsteps slowly travelling through the long, twisting hallways. And little by little, they began to feel something unsettling. It felt as if the house was watching them, as if it could hear every step they took, every movement they made. When night finally fell, they tried to open the doors and windows, but something was wrong. The doors would not move. The windows refused to open. It was as if some invisible force was holding everything shut. They were trapped inside. The strange unease that had filled the air before now turned into something far worse, a waking nightmare. Hours passed, and then they began to hear the sounds. At first they were faint, almost impossible to notice. Whispers, distant footsteps, strange noises drifting from the dark corners of the house. Sometimes it sounded like someone walking down the hallway behind the walls. Sometimes it felt like someone standing just outside a closed door. The air itself seemed heavy with another presence, and that was when Ethan and Claire realized something terrifying. They were not alone in the house, and the spirits that had lived there for centuries were not happy to have visitors. Days passed, then nights, but no one in Raven Hollow ever saw the couple again. Some townspeople said the ghosts of the old house had taken them. Others believed the two had simply lost their minds, trapped alone among endless corridors and shadows. But the house still stands there to this day, silent, dark, unmoving, and no one in Raven Hollow dares to enter it anymore, because everyone knows it is a place where nightmares live, where old secrets breathe in the dark, and where the living should never return.